Hello, and welcome to the Professional Media Presence podcast series.
Welcome to Professional Media Presence Podcast, your gateway to insightful conversations on the intersection of arts and media, all available through open access. Join us as we delve into key phenomena shaping the creative landscape, exploring themes such as art, media, and accessibility, where we unravel the intricacies of representation and respect. Welcome to the podcast. Today we are excited to be joined by Daniel González Franco, an interdisciplinary artist, researcher, and one of the founders of BeAnotherLab. Daniel is known for his innovative work exploring the intersection of technology, empathy, and social change through immersive virtual reality. His projects, such as The Machine to Be Another, invite audiences to experience personal narratives from a deeply empathetic perspective. Daniel, can you share a bit about who you are, what you do, and how your artistic journey led you to explore the transformative power of VR and embodied narratives? How did BeAnotherLab come into existence, and what was the initial inspiration behind The Machine to Be Another?
Yeah, thank you. As you mentioned, I consider myself an explorer, interdisciplinary researcher, and very fanatic of what is regarding the digital art and the possibilities to bond and connect with people. I came basically interested in digital art since 2012, and since then I have been encountering these, let's say, synchronicities and situations in which I found myself going through this idea of the perspective of the other. What does it mean to be present in the distance? What does it mean to be connected with the other? What does it mean the family? So I found some friends in the context of Pompeu Fabra University in a master called Digital Arts. And then we started to figure out about this idea of putting yourself in someone else's shoes, putting yourself in someone else's skin. And basically we came, some of us from Latin America, and South America, and we were too much into this idea of that it was like embedded in from our childhood, our mothers saying to us, you can put yourself in the bodies of this person that has some difficult situation. So a little bit of that was the origins. So we started to explore the possibilities within technology.
Thank you for this introduction. In your work, you focus on embodied narratives and how virtual reality can allow people to step into someone else's shoes, like you just said. Can you explain what you mean by embodiment in the context of new technologies, and especially VR, and how it influences our perception of identity and empathy?
Yeah, well, when we talk about embodiment, there's many ways of how we frame this idea of incarnating, or like stepping in the shoes, or feeling in the skin of, or walking a mile in the shoes of. So regarding this, I think we are in one hand talking about the idea of body ownership illusions. I don't know if you know about the rubber hand illusion, in which they hide your real hand from your point of view,
Yes,
and they put like another plastic rubber hand, and they do some synchronous visual and tactile stimuli in the hand that you are looking. But the effect on the brain is that as long as the sensation and the optical feedback is correlated, let's say that you can cheat and trick your brain into this illusion of having a different member of your body. It's an extension of your body, and so on. What we did is that we hack, let's say, this neuropsychology experiments working about these body ownership illusions, these possibilities of inhabiting the body of someone else through technology. Basically, there was two main inspirations. One is the Event Lab from the University of Barcelona with the director Meles Later. They have been doing like tons of experiments in neuroscience and neuropsychology about this idea through technology, how what are the possibilities of having these tools. And Henrik Herson in Karolinska Institute in Stockholm as well, he has been doing these amazing discoveries and experiments about how to trick you that you are inhabiting another body. But in any case, there were like these fancy let's say, expensive, like scientific research, that inner way, we say, okay, why not if instead of having these, let's say, high-tech possibilities of addressing this research or at least this process of experimentation, let's do it like by the people, for the people, in a, let's say, in a lower level, in a low-cost level, in a do-it-yourself level, and working with the stories of real people, with the stories that come from the heart, from the real life of the persons. And then decided to blend this, like I say, theatrical storytelling way of addressing this, let's say, do-it-yourself neuroscience. And yeah, so in this case, it was related about empathy, no? So we decided to create a tool to promote empathy, mutual understanding, conflict resolution, that is called The Machine to Be Another.
Okay, very interesting. And in your view, the concept of embodiment storytelling is transformative. Could you walk us through the process of how participants in your workshop and VR experiences create these immersive personal experience, like you just talked about? What are some key challenges or breakthroughs that often emerge during this process?
Yeah, well, it's interesting how we figured at some point that the workshops that we did or that we do are basically somehow an excuse, somehow an icebreaker, as the same as the technology, for people to address more deeper and profound, let's say, emotional connections regarding to empathic related process itself, as like empathic listening, compassion, altruism, like real team bonding. But this comes in the process, let's say. So we have a project that is called the Library of Ourselves, that I will tell you after. But basically, what we do is we create these brainstorming moments between different persons that wants to create or share a story. And through these workshops, we, let's say, in group and in a way of co-directing and co-creating, even if you are not a filmmaker or an actor or someone related to technology, we address this first moment of creating the story. And once it's done, we go into this process of, let's say, imagining how the story will be lived through the eyes of the another. That means in a multi-sensory level, in which the experience, for instance, you put your virtual reality headset, and then if you look up, down to the sides, you see from the perspective of this character, and suddenly the narrative as if you were hearing and the thoughts and the ideas of the person, and also the context that the person is seeing. So in order to create all of this, first we do these workshops, and let's say the challenges are interesting in a way, because sometimes it's people that doesn't know each other, it's people that are like a little bit afraid of technology, but this just little excuse of virtual reality or this use of technology is one of the not it's a very good excuse, let's say, to engage people in a deeper conversation. So even we have a result in these workshops that you can address, and then you can talk about empathy. But I want to say that is even better in the process itself of construction of these narratives. And so I guess there is no challenge, just letting yourself go and figuring out the possibilities of basically talking with people, having a coffee. We often say that the ultimate empathy machine is just going to dance. So I guess what we foster is these empathic related behaviors, aside from technology.
Yeah. No, I can understand that, but some might argue that VR could also create a detachment from reality. How do you ensure that the experience remains grounded in empathy and doesn't stray too far from an authentic human connection?
Yeah, it's interesting. You will say that virtual reality disconnects you, or maybe if you go too much into the experience, maybe you can get disconnected from reality, or really, let's say, really immerse so much that you disconnect from, let's say, other real important stuff. So Basically, what happened is that we think about the experiences that it should not last more than 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And they are often fostered in a very comfortable, let's say familiar, caring scenario and context in which we accompany you, we are along with you during the whole process, let's say, of the rituals of the experience, from the starting to the end. And often, let's say, the creation of the narratives as well are related not to the, let's say, to extreme scenarios, but more about like reflection of an optimistic and positive scenarios about stories that happen to the people.
Mm-hmm.
So in general, what we have been seeing so far is even if the experience is a bit too much emotional, it will the integration of the story, the integration of what happens, it will take, of course, place after you take the virtual reality headset, and that's where we think you can talk about empathic-related behaviors, about starting conversations about compassion, altruism, is because when you take the virtual reality headset, the system is designed that you have someone to talk to, so you are not alone.
Yeah.
So with this whole ritual and process, basically you get a very, let's say, comfortable way of addressing a deeper conversation, regardless the technology. So the technology at the end is in a second plane. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for elaborating on the workshops. I want to speak on a different topic, the role of VR in empathy and identity. The Library of Ourselves project seems like a fascinating exploration of identity. How do you envision VR as a medium that can facilitate a deeper understanding of self and others? How does it challenge traditional notions of identity?
Well, yeah. Basically, is, let's say, again, it's a little bit of an icebreaker to address maybe ideas, context and concepts and situations that maybe you can see them on TV or documentaries or even in the news.
Mm-hmm.
But what we have been seeing that often we got so disconnected from the reality,
Mm-hmm.
because the news, let's say, banalize what is happening, with the wars, with the content, with the killings, and then we see it as normal. So, and the Library of Ourselves project basically is about having an archive of stories, kind of a living work in progress. Always, a library basically is an archive of stories of people that are contributing to make it even growing and grow and bigger each time. But what it has, let's say, impregnated in his soul, in his personality, let's say, of the system, is that is made in a very humble level. I mean, even starting from the cost of it, I mean, it doesn't cost basically nothing compared to any other VR documentary production, and it's clear that the intention is actually to spread a message in a different way that is, let's say, interesting, let's say, for the technology.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we definitely think that VR could be one little tool, one little, again, icebreaker on a bigger process about this process of, let's say, empathy. But they are very powerful, not by themselves, but put in the right context. Yeah.
Okay. And during your workshops, participants reflect on aspects of their identity they wish to share. How do you balance the need for personal expression with the technical constraints that and creative possibilities of VR?
Yeah, often we have been collaborating with any kind of topics and subjects and stories. I mean, regarding like intergenerational conflicts, like for instance, like dealing with like older people or like really young people, or like for instance, subjects about gender. So what I'm trying to say is that there is one side is about like the technical possibilities. Another part is the background of the person, that maybe they can have like a technical background or like being close to technology or not. And another part is the story itself. So what we try to do in these workshops is to bring a common ground in which you can see that you can access this technology that we offer that is low cost, that is intended to be like accessible for everyone. So we make you in the process like to feel a little bit less afraid about the process. So you can create. You seek that is in between your possibilities to create something that can change or that can contribute to the story that you want to share. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. And on a bit of a more broader perspective, could you elaborate on the social innovation aspect of your work? How do you believe that these empathy-driven VR experiences could contribute to positive societal change, especially in the time where human connection is, well, increasingly mediated by technology?
Yeah, well, I will put an example of years ago. We did this collaboration with an association that is called SOS Racisme here in Barcelona, and what they do is that they do companion and legal support to the young migrants, and usually. Well, they have different problems like in regarding like being included in society, you know. So what we did is a workshop with them in which they created a story about Islamophobia. So in general, there were most of them were these young Muslim kids that some of them or many of them didn't even have like the families or the access to some, let's say, process of love and care, and through these associations. We were able to collaborate and create these workshops in which they create this story in which they put people in their shoes, in their situations that happen to them regarding Islamophobia, and day by day. But talking about the social impact, what was interesting is that they got empowered to use the tools, so they were putting it on the streets. And they say virtual reality for free, not even telling people what was about it. But then they fostered these moments, these interchanges, and we as BeAnotherLab collaboration were like from behind or from far away, but they were the ones who were actually empowering themselves about the use of this tool to promote like empathic related behavior, so like at least a little bit of understanding of the situation in the general population. So you can see the change. You can see the change of the faces of the persons, on the general public, on the bypassers. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And you already gave quite a good example of my next question about how VR and embodiment storytelling can be used to address social issues or underrepresent voices through media. Could you share any other examples of how this approach has led to tangible impact?
Yeah. I'm just thinking about another example, because as I mentioned, there is a lot of what I call magic, you know, these synchronicities. We cannot undersee those. Let's say the work that we do is a process that is much about the body. It's about more about like sharing with people, like actually having conversations, having a small talk, you know. So there is a lot of let's say vibrational and energetic approach in regarding the work that we do. So I guess it's independent from, let's say, from the technology itself. The magic happens, the social impact. How do you make someone raise their voice and represent what they are telling is through having this fierce approach on feeling familiar, feeling that you have been here. So then when you are like in this more comfortable way or mindset, you are willing to share your story. So yes, I guess the process of entering and understanding the tool, it will give you the energy to actually to spread a bigger, wider message. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like it's doing very valuable impact work. And looking forward into more of the future, how do you see the future of VR and embodiment narratives evolving? What's next for BeAnotherLab, and how do you envision these technologies advancing over the next 5 to 10 years in general and in your work?
Yeah. Well, we always say that, for instance, the project of library of ourselves is an ongoing project. So I guess it will never end. You will see that some of or the most impactful narratives are, or let's say, that usually we can see some, like real effect on people are the ones that are made like, I don't know, 10 years ago, and they are like low, super extremely low quality in a technical way, in the video, in the audio, in everything, had been done like in an afternoon in these little workshops, and still they managed to have the power to create this emotional moment of observation and reflection about the story or about the context or what happened there. So I will say in the future it will be a little bit the same. You will not lose the power of the tools of the past.
Yeah.
So I guess yes, there will be many improvements, but and of course with AI that now we have it, but like very present. I guess the creative power of the mind mixed with the most beautiful magic that comes from your soul, from your real intentions of doing stuff, is what ultimately is what it acquires the value that is going to be impregnated in whatever you do, a painting, or maybe whatever you do, some piece of art with AI and a lot of computers or robots, you know. I guess we are going to tune ourselves into being more appreciative of like the real soul that is behind every project, independent from the technology. Yeah, so I guess we'll be okay.
That's good to know. And on a more personal note, how has working in this field and creating these immersive experiences influenced your own understanding of identity and empathy? What is the most memorable or powerful experience you've had while using VR as a tool for storytelling or empathy?
Yeah, one thing that I remember that it touched my heart a lot was we were in this Tribeca Film Festival around 2015 or something like this. And then we were just, it was difficult at the beginning because we always have been doing these experiments, no? So I love the concept of experimenting with no let's say no ambitions and or no expectations. So when I met this, little by little the group was growing. The group of BeAnotherLab, and then we started to work in the project, like fixing cables. Everything was not working, you know, at the until the last minute. And it was really difficult in the technological level because we didn't have any money. It was like with our mates, you know, extremely low cost. Just basically trying to do our best with these experiments. So often when we do some presentations, some shows, or to show the project, most of the time it didn't work. It was super stressful, it was super difficult, and in the last minute somehow magically it works. I mean, magically I say it because it was like a magical touch, maybe yes, some little miracles in inside the cables. But what happened is that this was because of the teamwork. So at some point, we under a lot of stress. You cannot imagine tons of people waiting for you, and just in the very last second, you don't know if it's working or not. And at the end, it works. But my point is, like, at some point, this group of persons approach to us and say, "Hey guys, the project is called The Machine to Be Another." Of course, it's more like a methodology than a machine. It's more like a system, a protocol. But anyway, they say to us, the project is called The Machine to Be Another, but you know, the machine to be another is you guys. So, and I was like super surprised about the observation. He says, yeah, it's because all of the time we see you from far away. They were like part of the organization when we were mounting on this mountain and everything. And say, we see you from far away. And then all the time you're hugging each other, you're saying, oh man, I love you, or I love you, I love you. And all the time you hug, you laugh together. If you're stressed, you see like you love so much to each other. And that was like very impressive for us. And I haven't reflected, and they say, is this the project? Is you? Is like you, the persons, the characters that are like putting your, like, you're crying or you're having difficult times with this, and sometimes you have some loves. The energy of the project is impregnated, but the love that you put, and that for me was a game changer about how the project changed my life, and how, let's say in a buckle or in a circle, then I can be able to put myself into the project. So it's like a win-win situation. So love and energy is in the digital way, yeah.
Okay, that sounds really beautiful. And then lastly, for aspiring artists or technologists interested in exploring embodied storytelling, what advice would you give them as they begin their journey into the world of immersive technologies and VR?
Yeah, I guess not being afraid of experimenting again. I guess the value of this sometimes is underrated in the way that you don't have to be worried about having the last sensor or the last AI or the last I don't know system or VR AR mixed headset because everything starts with the concept. So if you have a good concept, you can do experiments in your mind. You can write about them. You can do drawings. You can basically create a whole project even without having the technology. So it shouldn't be something that slows you down or stop it. So I would rather prefer someone, complaining about like different stuff than complaining about the technology itself. So yeah, we can when we talk about these immersive technologies, what do we mean with immersive? It's a good reflection. I mean, we read a book, we are immersing ourselves into the story, and the concepts of VR, XR, AR. Maybe in the future that will change. So I guess you will be stuck with your own mind, with your own heart, and just pen and paper will do the work for you, and you can be in the forest, in the mountain, and thinking about your ideas. So as long as you have that, then you can experiment, do silly experiments, do mental experiments, and then you will be okay. But don't worry too much about technology. It doesn't rule us.
Okay, I think that's a beautiful piece of advice to take with us. Daniel, thank you for sharing your insights with us today. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience about the future of immersive storytelling or your upcoming projects?
Well, yeah, I guess a little bit more of a reflection about the possibilities of technology, maybe in the future, is about, for me at least, I have been having this reflection about groups, about creating these bonding experiences. Because before we spoke about the let's say the little bit of the isolation or a little bit of what happens when you put a VR headset on you. So it seems weird, no? In any case, it's a little bit off, where you put this box in your head and so on. Even if they're going to be smaller in the future. But even so, maybe now we are going to be talking about like AR glasses, and maybe not too much about VR. But anyway, it's weird, and I guess the thing that make it less weird is when you actually bond or have the possibility to like physically bond with each other. I mean, we have like online, you have like multi-user or multi-gamer situations online, and that's good. I mean, of course, I love it, and a lot of good friendships and long-lasting friendships and bondings can be created to these, let's say, online tools that can connect us in the distance. But I think now a little bit of, as I said from my side, the power is in this experience about like probably more about dancing. I have been working now a little bit more about dancing and mixed reality, in which you can actually feel the others, you can actually see the others, you can play with reality, with colors and some concepts. Even you can put music or even AI, like a little bit of fun here and there. But the idea of having this, let's say, on-site multi-user experiences is really exciting. And on top of that, if you put theater on top of it, if you put a little bit of dancing on top of it, a little bit of like really exploring the possibilities of music on top of it. So yeah, I guess we can create also deep connections, foster empathic related behaviors through very, let's say, joyful, playful, optimistic, positive things that you can address, like in this hybrid also with storytelling. So you can basically create this, let's say, memorable, beautiful moments in this multi-user, let's say, bonding experience on site. So, but that takes me again to the, let's say, to the funny self-criticism about like use of technology, about like, okay, but do we really need it? Because now I'm talking about, okay, let's put a group of people together, and then we put a virtual reality headsets on them, and then we make them interact with them. I mean, I appreciate the possibilities, but again, you can just only go to dance, you know, the empathy machine is go to dance. For me, see it, go hug with each other, go jump together, go to a concert, and so on and so on. So as long as you take in, I guess, with joyfulness, with the sense of exploration, you will find like different ways of creating meaning about and seeing the results, because you actually can see how technology can ignite and improve like different ways of excitement, you know, when you do things. And then the integration of the memories after the experience, you will see while you experiment. If you go today after doing this, let's say, hybrid mix, augmented reality dance experience, you will see that the memory of the people from the experience, it lasts more than, oh, I just live on a scenes in the forest of Australia, I don't know, and it was beautiful, but that's it. But if you have someone that touches you, that hugs you, that very day of the experience, probably you will remember even much more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sounds like some really exciting things. That's a wrap for the Professional Media Presence podcast. Huge thanks to Daniel for the inspiring conversation. We hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, keep creating.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. The Professional Media Presence project is co-funded by the Creative Europe program of the European Union. Make sure to follow the updates on our social media, Instagram and Facebook, and visit our website pmpproject.eu. Stay tuned for more episodes.